For the year 2020, I'm making a video review for every new movie I watch, whether in theaters or at home, and on June 18th, I watched Enemy of the State. Welcome to my year in movies. This is Talking to Myself. If you wanted a summary of my political views, this is the best movie ever. Alright, so it's a cool, misty morning in Washington, D.C., and Representative Philip Hammersley has come to a lake to play fetch with his dog in the early morning hours. He's greeted by NSA official Thomas Bryan Reynolds, who asks the representative how he feels about the new system of surveillance satellites and if he's going to be voting in favor of that bill. And Hammersley says no, and so Hammersley's car is found at the bottom of the lake. He is found dead inside of an apparent heart attack with a bunch of heart pills he's never taken scattered at his feet. It was the perfect crime, were it not for the wildlife camera of one Daniel Leon Zavitz. Now, before Zavitz gets absolutely creamed by a fire truck as he's trying to run from the NSA, he manages to drop the incriminating tape into the shopping bags of mild-mannered DC lawyer Robert Clayton Dean. Robert Dean, who has no idea that this tape is here, goes about his daily life. Except he gets fired. He is kicked out of his house. None of his credit cards work anymore, and the NSA is out to get him, and he has no idea why. It's not paranoia, if you're right. Oh gosh dang, I love this movie so much. I was a paranoid anti-surveillance, anti-government freak before this movie came out. Obviously, my boyfriend knows me very well. And this movie just exacerbated that part of me. It fueled the anarchist raccoon running on the wheel in my ribcage. This film came out in 1998, and the fact that government surveillance was prevalent enough and enough of a problem that we could have it be the focal point of this movie says so much. And of course the NSA was like, actually we don't have that kind of technology, we don't know how to do that. And it's like, shut up you bunch of nerds, I know you can do it. You're just not gonna tell us that you can do it because that would freak us out. And this came out before 9/11, before the Patriot Act, before the prevalence and insidious internet reached the bounds that it did. But as soon as I finished the movie, I wanted to draw all of my blinds, check my car for tracking devices, pull down my smoke detector to check for cameras, wipe my search history, and buy a VPN. Hashtag not spawn, but hashtag could be spawn, because that would have been the smoothest segue ever. It's so effective at constantly reminding us that every move Robert Dean makes, the government knows. They can see him. And so it constantly is presenting him with opportunities to prove his resourcefulness and prove his intellect, because he has to do something else to where the government won't know what he's doing. He has to stay one step ahead of them, which is very difficult when the government can see every single step he takes. This film is so tightly written. Every detail of the film comes back in the end, from the plot threads to the costumes to the props. It even introduces a Chekhov's blender, which is the first of its kind, I'm pretty sure. And it all comes together in the climax for a very satisfying ending. It's so good. And this film utilizes the classic 90s formula that worked for Men in Black, and that is pair Will Smith with a grouchy old white guy. In this film, that grouchy old white guy happens to be Gene Hackman, who is, of course, fantastic in this film. He plays this kind of old school, wicked smart, anti-surveillance guy who helps Dean try to put his life back together. And he's really good. They have a tremendous action duo chemistry, and they play very well off of each other. He was an excellent choice for the film, and Will Smith knew that because he worked at a lower salary just so he could work with Gene Hackman, and they were so good together. Regina King was spitting straight facts the entire movie. She was never wrong the entire time. This movie got me ridiculously hype. I have Citizen4 saved on my to-watch list. It's free on YouTube right now. That documentary goes into the work that Edward Snowden did to reveal that, yes, the government is spying on you. I'm also going to watch Data from PhilosophyTube, which goes into how your data's just kind of there and people can see it, and they make ludicrous amounts of money on it, and you have no idea what they know and how they knew it. And then I'm also gonna go back and watch the John Oliver episodes on government surveillance, which also features an interview with Edward Snowden, and his video on facial recognition, because that's a horrifying new reality that this movie doesn't really get to tap into as much, but it is certainly a prevalent problem, especially with the protests that are still continuing to this day. As an example, even if they don't get your face, they can get your clothes. Because at a lot of the protests, they remind you to keep your face covered, obscure any tattoos, don't wear easily recognizable clothing. Because wear masks because of the virus and stuff. Obscuring your face is important, and obscuring your clothes to where you're not wearing easily recognizable things is important, because there was a girl at a protest and the police caught sight of her shirt and they're like, that's an interesting shirt, we're gonna look that up. And they did, and they found her purchase record on Etsy and they were able to figure out who she was to arrest her for protesting, and that's horrifying. And like, what gets me is that the government doesn't even have to actively tap our phones anymore. We carry those taps willingly in our pocket. We buy wiretaps for our house and we call them by their dumb white girl names. And it freaks me out because I participate in it. Not because I willingly opted into it, but because there's no way for me to opt out. I don't like that I'm born into a government registry at birth, that I have a number probably before I have a name. Obviously my parents picked out my name beforehand, but you get what I'm saying. Everything about you is documented. They know everything about you, and that freaks me out. I don't like being watched by the government. It's one thing for the government to watch like other governments, but I don't like the fact that the government watches its citizens. But if you have nothing to fear, you have nothing to hide. No, shut up. That implies that you're okay with like an NSA agent sitting in your kitchen, just hanging out, chilling, go about your life. Don't worry about it. No, if you want to look at what I'm doing, come back with a warrant, you fascist. But yeah, I really liked this movie. It's easily one of my new favorites. And you know how I know it's a good movie about the government? Because the NSA refused to cooperate, baby. That's how I know it's good. Also, Jon Voight's character, born on 9/11. Coincidence? Yes, but I still screamed when I saw that. But yeah, this is easily one of my new favorite movies. Goodness gracious. This has been My Year in Movies. Thank you for watching.